I mean, the Bitcoin maxis think I'm a shitcoiner, and the shitcoiners think I'm a Bitcoin maxi. It's a really tough needle to thread.
When you're in the influencer world, as like Trader Main tells me, it's like you can never win, like on either boundary at all.
Thanks
for coming on Liquidated. I really appreciate it. We're live now. Been a big fan of yours. I think, since 2017 or earlier. You've been a trader, a DJ, an investor. And I love to see your progression from being like, an influencer in the space. And now you're more like a staple, I would say, in the mainstream, showing up on TV shows, political, interviews, things of that nature. And I think it's incredible. And I want to give my kudos to you for working hard and, being a good person in the space. And so I've always been a big fan of yours since then. I'd like to bring on Liquidated. The main point is to try to get, guys are getting into crypto or being a part of the space, how they can get involved, to be a part of the community, the good part of the community, and maybe learn how to invest or the psychological things behind that. So I have founders on, traders, NFT guys, whoever. And so thank you for coming on.
Thank you, man. Cool. Sorry that it took me so long. I know we kind of had this scheduled in the past and we've been trying to connect. So it's great to finally be able to make it happen, and really an honor, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So before you became the Wolf of All Streets, what was life like for you? Like what, do you think you got into crypto from being like, for me, I like to collect like baseball cards and all these other things of value. And then I heard about Bitcoin, and that's kind of how I feel I got into collecting Bitcoin, thinking it was good for society and also valuable,
Yeah, I mean, that's funny because I was an early collector too, baseball cards for my entire life when I was a kid, and I still have a big record collection back there. There's actually baseball stuff all over the shelves behind me as well that you can't see. So I definitely started as a collector in life as well, but really Bitcoin, I came in as a trader. So, I was beyond doing a lot of other things on the side, I was basically a DJ and music producer for 20 years. Right. I went to the University of Pennsylvania in the late 90s. Everybody went off to Goldman Sachs and Solomon Smith Barney and straight to Wall Street.
Did you do the business school too?
I took classes at Wharton, but I am not a Wharton graduate. I was in the College of Arts and Sciences. At Penn, there's 4 schools and you can take classes in any of them, but I was in the general College of Arts and Sciences. I was a archaeology major. I wanted to be Indiana Jones. And it was a minor in music because I played music my whole life. But I really just wanted, at that time, I found DJing in 1998 or so, like my junior year. And all I wanted to do was go make music and DJ. So that's pretty much what I pursued after college, right? I had a magazine in Philly that I owned as well, which was sort of a full-time business, but that was what I did during the day and during the night. But everything I was doing was really nightlife and music focused. So, eventually, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Dazed and Confused, but Matthew McConaughey's character has a famous line where he says, what I like about high school girls, they get older, I stay the same age. I get older, they stay the same age. It was kind of that's what became the vibe for me with DJing. I was like in my late 30s, and everyone I was DJing for was perpetually 21 years old, or 25, and started to feel like the old man in the club, and I just had a kid. And I really needed to find something else. As successful as it was, traveling, 150 days a year to go play records till 5 o'clock in the morning was never going to be, I guess, a sustainable career path. And, the production side was great, but was never going to deliver the life that I wanted for myself and for my family. And I was always trading throughout that time, mostly other markets, obviously. And I just kind of fell into crypto for some reason in 2016. A whole lot of DJs and music guys got super into trading and then super into crypto. And that's how I heard about it. It was from a bunch of DJ friends. And it was at the time when they were like, you could buy Bitcoin on Coinbase or Gemini, and then you send it to this place called Bittrex, and then you use your Bitcoin to buy the ripples. They used to like say it plural, buy the ripples. You buy these ripples and the Ethereums and all this stuff. And like, it just goes up. It's magic. And so I just came in at the perfect time, thought I was a genius like everyone else. Bought $3,000 worth of crypto. 2 weeks later, I had $20,000 worth of crypto. And 2 months later, I had $120,000 worth of crypto. We all know the story. Right. So the number went up, the number went down. And I think it was really when the bear market hit, that first kind of 2018-19 stretch in there, where I started to have to cope and figure out why I was there. Like, well, okay, I gained all this money, I lost all this money. Is this shit actually important? And that's when I really actually started to care about Bitcoin.
Now, of all the guys like you started crypto with, like, you know, a lot of the guys that got me into crypto are gone now. Like,
Sure.
do you ever have these conversations with some of these guys? Like, because obviously, you're probably in a much different place they are.
Maybe. I mean, like, I think I can understand why people didn't keep going. Right.
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
there's so many horrid experience, so much PTSD from past cycles. And if you didn't, I think, establish some sort of business out of it, or like deep conviction and something you wanted to build. And I'm not talking about like launching a meme coin, but something
Mhm.
that you wanted to build for yourself, your family, for the community. Why would you still be here? Like, yeah, I can see why you're now here in 2025 when everything is established. But if you look at how rough the last 7 or 8 years were, there were so many reasons to say, I'm just going to go back to my good paying job and take care of my family and maybe ride the little portfolio that I have. Right. And most of those people who washed out also were kind of like on the anonymous side. I don't
Yeah.
think they ever like put their faces out there. It was always this kind of weird thing that they did on the side with their friends, anyways. Right. So, like, I don't think a lot of people washed out that were like deeply passionate with their faces out there, like advocating for the industry. I think
Mhm.
90% of the people who were trading are gone.
Yeah, it was the DJs and the poker players, and the people that like were degenning off. I think one of the main reasons I've held Bitcoin so long is because I actually like believed in it, and I think that's a good point. Like, the
Same.
people that really believe in this space usually hang around, and even the big leverage traders that even got to 9 fix, some of these guys have been blown out and disappeared. So it's a weird thing to be
Yeah,
able
I
to
mean,
put
think
on the
about,
crypto.
it's funny because back then, even if you wanted to become a trader, you had to at least touch Bitcoin, right? Like, this was
Yeah,
pre-tether pairs.
yeah, tether
It
pairs,
was
ETH pairs. Yeah,
right. So like I said at the beginning, you had to buy Bitcoin, you had to touch it, you had to send it, you had to move it from somewhere to somewhere. Even I think that little experience is enough to get you more hooked than someone who comes in now and sees like Trump launched a token and goes buys it with a credit card or gets some tether and does it in that way. Those people actually never really have to experience Bitcoin. So it's really
mhm.
a bifurcated market now in my mind, because it was always that you rationally denominated your portfolio in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah,
Like, that, you remember learning that lesson, I'm sure, like everyone else. I was so psyched that I was making money. And then one day on my, Blockfolio or whatever the app Delta was back then or something, I
yeah,
clicked the Bitcoin value of my portfolio and I was
they're
like,
going down. Yeah,
that's less than if I had just bought Bitcoin. What the hell am I doing here?
yeah.
Right. And that's a really awakening moment. People now are not denominating their portfolios of memes they're trading in Bitcoin. So I don't think people are coming in through the Bitcoin door anymore, which you had to back then.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Like, that's how I learned my lesson with Bitcoin to begin with. It became more of a Bitcoin maxi, or at least the majority of my portfolio is a Bitcoin. Is I realized that at first, like, I tried to be this shitcoin trader or whatever you want to call it, ICO trader, and just got crushed. And I was like, okay, the next time I'm let me write down all my mistakes. Next time, just buy Bitcoin. And I stuck to that since this is my third cycle now, and that ended up working out better than, I don't know, 98% of my friends that are, unless they're a god tier trader. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, there are very few of those, right? And there are very few of those who can make it past one or two cycles. You can be god tier and, one slip in risk management and it's all a big zero, right? And I mean, there's even pitfalls with the Bitcoin side, right? Even when I decided, hey, most of my portfolio should be in Bitcoin,
Yeah.
this is terrible. Well, where did I put it? In Voyager.
Yeah, not
you
great.
know so like,
Yeah.
being one of Voyager's top 20 creditors wasn't a particularly amazing experience for me, right? So even all
Yeah.
the money that I had saved, and you go through that experience. So A, you lose your money. B, I'm American and paid
Yeah.
40% taxes on everything that I was then
Of
holding
course. Of course.
in Voyager. And
Yeah.
so I had not only lost the money in Voyager, I paid taxes on it.
That's
And it's
insane.
like you find such creative ways to get absolutely annihilated
Like,
in this
annihilated.
business.
Yeah.
I think
There's
you've got to be a little bit of a psychopath to still be here after all that.
I mean, we all have like attention deficit disorder, like love high risk, like love all these issues. Like in trading, in the wins get worse because then you get that dopamine that you're trying to replace. That's why I don't trade. I just hold Bitcoin.
Yeah, smart
And
guy.
thank God I haven't done any of this online gambling stuff. Like some of my friends are, like playing slots online, which is insane to me. But yeah, like I had the same experience. I was seed round to BlockFi, had a very large sum of money on there, but then I think they accidentally sent somebody like 100 Bitcoin one day, and I said I don't think this sounds very smart. So I got
Good for you.
Got into hard worlds. What do you do nowadays with stuff? Just cold storage, or would you share that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I have a wide variety. I like to kind of keep things in a number of places. I mean, the core of my holdings is in multi-sig,
Yeah,
geographically distributed. Like, I have zero personal access to any meaningful amount of
same.
crypto that
Yeah,
so like I think you're literally insane if you have any crypto app on your phone.
yeah,
Like, maybe I'm a little bit more sensitive to that because people to some degree know who I am, right? So, like, putting your face out there publicly as you have too, like someone sees you on the street, sees you talking on your phone, that phone could be your entire life savings, right? So for a lot of people, it would be. And then I use, like I have through different businesses and stuff like Coinbase accounts that are in Prime, that are
yeah.
in
The
Coinbase Prime
YubiKey and stuff like
custody
that.
with like YubiKeys that are
Yeah.
also geographically distributed. Like if you said to me right now, send me some money, I would have to go through a scavenger hunt to do it. And it's insane. And it's one of the dumber things about crypto still. Like as good as it is to be your own bank, you have to like set up this insane trail to do it if you want to take maximum security seriously.
And then you
And
got
I
to
just don't
remember
think
the
most
trail
people are going to
too.
do that. Yeah, well, and then I fall on my head and my wife is broke. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of those problems have not been solved yet. I think there are some really cool ways that they're being solved that I've been looking pretty deeply into. But yeah, it's still that weird kind of scavenger hunt to handle my coins.
Yeah, I use Casa.io, which has been pretty good so far.
Yeah, we talked about that, didn't we? Yeah, I've
Yeah,
been
we
using
did.
Casa for years. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought they were doing pretty good. I do have a Coinbase Prime account. I haven't really used it much. How is that? Is that pretty good?
It's really good. I think if you set everything up correctly, I'm assuming, I mean, listen, that's what like MicroStrategy is reportedly using, and
Right, right.
all the ETFs are custodied with Coinbase Prime. So yeah, I think that or with Coinbase custody. So I think that if you set it up correctly, yes. So listen, we're a long way from when we started. 2016, 2017
Yeah,
exchanges had zero security, right? So
yeah,
not your keys, not your coins made a lot more sense back then. I'm not saying that people shouldn't self custody, but I do think that good exchanges have caught up most of the way with that risk, right? Like the very fact that you can, for example, like with a Coinbase account, if you're doing it right and you have a Prime Coinbase account, you should have a Proton Mail or some sort of exclusive email for that exchange that's also encrypted, also has two-factor authentication
yeah.
that is not SMS, right? I have two-factor authentication on a separate device that's
Right.
also like locked
Yep.
away, right? So I can't even access 2FA on my phone if somebody comes at me because I've been SIM
Mhm.
swapped twice and I've learned those lessons, right?
Shout out Afani. Do you use Afani too?
Yeah, I was like the
Yeah,
first user of Afani.
yeah,
It
yeah.
literally had me and
He's a
Charlie
great
Shrem.
guy.
Yeah, I see. Me and Charlie Shrem. Charlie Shrem introduced me to
Yeah,
Haseeb when we both got SIM swapped on T-Mobile. And so like, and then you have that email encrypted. Nobody can access the email. And then you also have YubiKey that you have to use to sign in, to send funds. You whitelist only, like for me, I don't even have it so that you can go to other crypto. You can only
yeah,
go to a bank account with a
yeah,
cash out. So like,
yeah,
things like that set up at least a really long trail that someone would have to figure out, and like a lot of steps they'd have to go to, right? I mean, Coinbase Prime, you can't just set up a bank account and send it in 5 minutes, right? There's all kinds of protections you can put in place. So I like that. I hate it because it's not that much more convenient than like a shitty
yeah.
bank account. But I think at a certain point, it's the steps you have to take if you have meaningful wealth in it. I think if you're an average person, you got a couple grand in crypto. Like, have fun, man. Have a
Yeah, just
Coinbase
have
account,
fun. I agree. Like, and
whatever.
make it
Like,
simple as
you don't
possible.
need multi sig. to protect like your, lottery ticket. It's fine.
Yeah, but it is interesting. Like I would agree with you too. Like we're getting to a point where like I could put it on an exchange maybe or like a Coinbase. But then again, like I remember like Geraldo Vulgaris, who's like one of the goats, Bitcoin guy. He's like, oh, like I feel pretty comfortable leaving my shit on FTX. And then that was like a year before it crashed. It's like it's still I'm still of the belief of not your keys, not your Bitcoin. But Brian Mecon gave me good advice too. He's like, there's never a right answer. It's not all or nothing. Maybe 50% of your portfolio on a multi-sig, 25% on Coinbase Prime, and then the rest spread out whatever. I have the Alto retirement account too on Bitcoin. I don't know if you know that, but I think they work with Coinbase as well. So I don't know. Guess we'll find out.
Yeah, there's a lot of really novel ways now that I think are going to become really, really interesting. I interviewed Zach Townsend, who's the CEO of a company called Meanwhile, and that's Bitcoin denominated life insurance. And so, you can effectively set a policy, say it's a 10 Bitcoin 10-year policy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And from the minute you start the policy, whether you've deposited the 10 or not, your family is guaranteed to get paid out 15 Bitcoin, in the future at your death. But they custody it. You basically either over 10 years or right away. You probably want to do it right away if you know where Bitcoin's going in 10 years, right? You deposit to them. They're heavily regulated and custodian. And then within 2 years of holding, you're allowed to take massive loans against it at a really low interest rate and live the rest of your life off of your life insurance, just like whole life insurance and how billionaires use it in the real world. But you can do that, and it's Bitcoin denominated. So when you take the loan, it's in Bitcoin. When you do when they report their literally like earnings and their balance sheet and stuff, it's all in Bitcoin. It's out of Bermuda. It's really, really interesting, but a lot of like fascinating ways, I think, that you're going to be able to use your Bitcoin to live the same kind of life that people use with their securities portfolio with relatively the same level of security and lack of risk. I think it's all coming.
Well, my only question with that, because I hear this all the time, like, okay, people use their securities to take loans out to live their life and don't have to pay taxes, but like then they have to pay the interest. And like, what if the security goes down or Bitcoin goes down? Like, how do you know how people deal with that? I'm asking for myself, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, you do it. You first of all, you don't take a loan against it all. Bitcoin's riskier, right? Because so the current like loan environment on Bitcoin it's relatively savage, but still, if Bitcoin even has any upward trajectory, relatively fine. But like, you don't want to be at higher than a 50% LTV. So like if you deposit $1 million worth of Bitcoin, you really don't want to have more than $500,000 in a loan. They'll let you go up to 700, 800, but then just like trading perps, you have high liquidation risk on any move to the downside, right? Usually, which means you get margin called. If you have a bunch more Bitcoin, fine. You just, add margin. But I think if you keep it at a low LTV, even though the interest rate is, 10, 11, 12%, over time, Bitcoin wildly beats that, and people never pay those loans back. So basically, the appreciation lowers your LTV, lowers the rate, and you live forever with that loan and never pay it back. And that's what a lot of people kind of do with these kind of things. With securities lending, the rates are still way better than everywhere else. So I think like Robinhood, Schwab, obviously all of these, but Robinhood, I've heard now quietly, you can actually take a loan against the crypto assets alongside the securities that are in your portfolio at like sub 5% interest rate.
That's insane.
Right. So yeah, like the appreciation ends up really paying for the interest on the loan unless the market gets completely wrecked. And if the market gets completely wrecked and you actually have other money besides all of your money in this securities portfolio, you just add some margin and ride it out, and I'm not saying it's the best idea for everyone, but like, it's funny, on a podcast in 2020, Saylor was the first person that really broke it down for me. Like he saw it back then, he had just started buying maybe in August or September. I think I had him on in October. He wasn't the Michael Saylor that he is now, right? He was like the new hot thing this company had bought. And he was like, listen, I've got 5 yachts. He's like, and I can take a loan against any of these yachts. And good luck if I park my yacht in Saint-Tropez. Good luck coming and getting my yacht if my loan defaults. Right? He's like, what are they going to do? Come and get my yacht? He's like, well, Bitcoin's pristine collateral because it can be liquidated, utilized, moved in real time. He already understood all of this and had that vision for MicroStrategy that would eventually become the Bitcoin bank, because this is what he wants, right? He wants to have enough Bitcoin that he controls enough of the supply that he can offer all of these banking services eventually on Bitcoin to institutions. But he's the one who broke down the buy, borrow, die for me, like in real time. He said, you know, you never sell anything. You buy all this stuff, even yachts and art and whatever. And there's always someone, if you're wealthy enough, who's going to give you a loan on that thing.
Yeah. And is that what people are doing? Like on Aave, they're just like loaning their Bitcoin and getting yield, or?
Presumably. I've never used Aave. I've used Abra, which I know like they wrap the Bitcoin and move it into Aave and other protocols. So I guess your only risk is smart contract risk, like if Aave blew up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's basically what people are doing. Listen, I'm not going to pretend there's no risk in any of these things, but you know, I think that in the very near future, and even now, you're going to have enough avenues to do these kind of things that you'll be able to choose your level of risk, and you'll be able to do you'll be able to do it at Schwab or JP Morgan, but it's coming. Like they've already literally announced it that, you know, that you're going to be able to use Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral. I'm not saying you want to be fucking with JP Morgan with your Bitcoin. But you know, if you would do it with your Tesla stock, you'll on the same platform be able to do it with Bitcoin. So if you're comfortable, if you're not in Bitcoin for like the future of money and it's an investment to you, you would absolutely do that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely think next few years it'll be easier to like have less like not as scary as a risk of loaning out some Bitcoin or otherwise. So I'm glad that's happening. I still have fear because of FTX and BlockFi and all those other things.
Me
too. It will go away eventually. When you were DJing, you mentioned that like you had this moment, and I think I had the same moment recently, like being at a club randomly at like a Bitcoin conference. Like I don't belong here anymore. Like when did you decide like, okay, I'm going to become full-time crypto? I'm going to start, you know, getting into Twitter and posting and all this stuff, or did it just gradually happen?
Completely gradual, zero intention. Never meant for it to happen, didn't even know it was a thing. And then all of a sudden I had this audience because I kept posting a bunch of good trades. Like I said, it was you know, everyone's a genius in a bull market. So if you came in 2016 and 17 and started, and I was doing it because I was passionate about it. It's funny. So I think 40,000 Twitter followers from DJing.
Yep.
Right. And one day because it's kind of person I am, when I was done with DJing, I was like, I'm done with DJing. I did it my whole life and just never touched it again the minute I decided it was over and that I was going to start trading. And I just started posting charts, and I literally lost half my followers. I went from like 40 to 20,000, and everyone was like every comment was like, what are you doing, man? Like nobody cares about this. Like post a remix, right?
Quite a bit, yeah.
So I like killed my following, but from that base of 20 who stuck around, you know, like I guess because it was a bull market, I was pretty good at trading, but also I think, like I said, it was timing. If you were just spamming charts and trade ideas at that time and everything was going up, you started to look like a genius and started to build a following, right? And so it just kind of naturally happened. And you know, I was on Twitter. And back then you couldn't write like your life thesis on Twitter. You could just spam like a 2-sentence thing and that was it, right? There weren't really threads. There was no long form. And I was like, man, you know, now that I'm into this and I have a bit of an audience, like I'd like to write longer stuff. You know, I always loved making content, whether that was music or something else. So that's when I kind of started a newsletter, which was like once a week. And I was writing longer stuff there. And then, you know, I got bored with that and said, this should be 3 times a week. Eventually that became 5 times a week. Then the guys from Blockworks, Jason Yanowitz, came to me and he was like, dude, like you're gaining a following. You should start a podcast. And I said, what the fuck's a podcast? I'd never listened to one and didn't know. It was like 2019. I started the podcast because they pushed me to do it like as my partners, like 2 weeks before COVID lockdowns. And then it basically became like a COVID doctor podcast. People don't remember that, but it, you know, like nobody wanted to hear about crypto in April of 2020. You know,
but if you hung around, you know, it becomes a big thing, you know, it's crazy.
Right. And so then it was like, okay, my podcast coming out once a week. That's great. But like, I could do this stuff every day. So like months later, I started a YouTube channel and started doing daily content. And it just really snowballed organically from there. As long as there was people to kind of watch and I had the, you know, like will to keep making more content and doing more stuff. It kind of grew from there. So there was no moment. There was definitely a moment where I quit DJing. But it was like, this is going to be bad for my family. I can't do this. You know? but I quit without knowing what I was going to do next,
Yeah.
but well, way too much confidence in myself that I would figure it out.
What excites you about crypto now? Like, you've been around, as longer than I have. Like, what keeps you going?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, there's like this natural vindication because we were all the crazy people talking about magic internet money at the Thanksgiving table, or
Yep.
like,
We're all
you
idiots.
know, in my case, like I went to Penn, so all my friends are like Wall Street guys, right? And we've got the group chats, the fraternity, the boy trips, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, what's wrong with you? Like, just go buy some stocks. Like, what are you doing? And everybody thought I was insane. So first of all, like what drives me is that I'm a dude and I love talking shit to my friends. So like
Yeah.
just, once a week, I just dunk on all of them. Like we have the group chats and they're talking about stocks. I'm like, man, what if you had a friend who told you about Bitcoin in 2017? Wouldn't that be great? Like, would you listen to that dude? So it's fun to, talk shit with your friends. That keeps me compelled, but
Of
not for,
course.
not for work. But, I actually just find this space endlessly interesting. I really, really, even after all the contagion, when I did question a lot of it, I really do deeply believe that it's a better technology, could be a better monetary system, that
Yeah.
it solves a lot of problems. And now you can have really compelling conversations about that with really interesting and smart people, right? So for me, like I had this as a result of all the collapses and all the garbage that happened, and like personal situations that I went through being a trader. I mean, we all know, like, everybody loves you when you're right. The bear market comes, and all of a sudden, like, you're the worst scammer in the world.
Of course.
Everyone's
Yeah.
loss is your fault. Like, every narrative is it, whatever, right? We all know. And so, like, I was like, I have zero interest anymore in being the guy providing the alpha,
Yeah.
right? But what I do have a lot of interest in is talking to the people who have the real alpha and learning from them. And like, maybe by osmosis, whoever's watching will also learn from them, right? So I somewhat intentionally, but it sort of just snowballed into all of my content being interview based, right? I just love talking to people. I love learning from people. Like, I feel like I can have a conversation with anyone, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so
And you probably like
that
to do it, right? Like, I enjoy just
that's what
talking
I'm
to
saying.
people.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Like, my job is to wake up and talk to somebody really
Yeah.
smart and ask them their opinion on things. Cool. Right. I mean, it's like I'm getting a free college education or getting paid to get a college education from the smartest professors in the world, who for some reason will spend an hour with me doing a master class on the singular thing that they're best at.
Hmm.
I will never take for granted that I've somehow fallen into that opportunity to make a living. Right. So I just find, like, all of it so incredibly interesting, and I've never really pivoted from that mentally, right? Like, as you said, there's a lot of people who washed out. There's a lot of people who left and went to AI, or they kind of fell down the meme coin rabbit hole and gave up on Bitcoin, or whatever
Right.
it is. I pretty much just like stayed the path of the things that I cared about.
Who's kind of shaped your thinking the most, like either recently or in the last, or since you started? Like, who do you kind of look up to, or kind of, ask for advice in the space?
That's a good question. There's very few people, to be honest,
Yeah,
like,
same for me. Yeah.
very, very few people. I think here, unfortunately, to some great degree, you kind of have to forge your own path.
Hmm.
Like, I definitely, in those 2020, 2021 years, like when I had a bit more of a relationship with Sailor, like when I met him and I went to his
Yeah.
house a couple times, like, just his level of conviction, like whether people agree with the way he's done it or how he's done it or his approach or whatever, that really did like help solidify the Bitcoin side of my
Your
conviction, right?
conviction. Yeah. Hmm.
But I'm not like I'm far from a Bitcoin maxi. I think you went live right when I was joking about it. I didn't even know we
Yeah.
were on camera. But like Bitcoiners have a problem with me because they think I touch shit coins too much, and shitcoiners think I'm a Bitcoin maxi. It's like the funniest thing in the world when you look at my content. When people call me a Bitcoin maxi, I laugh because like I have a massive ETH position and have been bull posting ETH for years on the way down.
Yeah, but I think
But I
you're
just
very
view them as
supportive.
different asset classes. I just don't think they're the
Yeah,
same asset class.
I agree with you. And I think you're very supportive of Bitcoin. Like, I don't see what reason for you to be
Dude,
shit
like
about
it's a
it.
no crime against the Grand Wizard level 5 council of Bitcoin maxis but like I've actually maintained like a pretty decent relationship with a lot of those guys, and they can just kind of jokingly say, yeah, you're, a little bit too much shitcoiner for me. But also like on the most cynical view is when you have a platform, they can think whatever they want of you personally, but they definitely still want to go on the show and talk to your followers, right? So you can still get them on the show, right? But I think, we always have kind of our group chats of people that we shoot the shit with or kick ideas around with in the industry and beyond. So, I keep a tight group there. Like there's a lot of people I run stuff by, like Raul Powell, I'll run stuff by, like when I have an idea, and his like nonstop bullishness I find very inspiring.
Oh yeah.
And like Rand Nooner over at Banter.
I'll never forget that UST pod. I think him or his partner was on, and it was like crashing in real time. That was kind
the
of
Luna thing. Yeah. Well, shoot. Yeah, I got wrecked on that one too, and I didn't even own Luna. That was one of the worst stories because I was so proud that I had avoided Luna entirely. Like I was like, I'm not comfortable with how this is structured. I would never touch this stable coin. And it started collapsing. Actually, like speaking of Rand Nooner, he called me and like, he was like, dude, I lost like $100 million today.
Yeah.
Like I'll never forget that. He was ready to give up. We talked about it on a podcast, so this isn't like private knowledge or anything, but he was all in, and I'd been on his show 2 weeks before, and I was like, dude, I don't know much about Luna, but the level of like percentage of your portfolio you have in it, even if it was like literally Jesus came down from the sky and told you to buy this thing, you're too overweight, like sell,
Yeah.
And it just because like it was irrational the way it was being talked about, but got wrecked. But I turned around and I get this email from the ARCA. I don't know if you know those guys, like the fund that I was invested in. And like I get an email from the CEO of ARCA that's like, our heaviest position is Luna. And we called the team, it had gone from like 100 to 20 or whatever it was. I have no idea.
Right.
And he was like, and we've decided after talking to them to put the rest of the portfolio basically into UST because we can earn 100% on it on FTX, and we've doubled down on the Luna position. And I emailed back and was like, I want to redeem right now. You guys are the dumbest, like, list of expletives. And literally by the time like I could even type an email,
zero,
it was down another, it was $5.
Yeah.
Like he couldn't even get the email out fast enough that Luna was collapsing so fast. So like that fund's been wrecked like since those days. So even the people you gave your money could lose your money in the crypto.
Were you there? Like, were you in the Bahamas for the FTX thing? I was there, and I will tell you right now. I mean, I saw Zoo. I saw Katy Perry. Like, we were in the presidential suite of this place, and I've never seen like a group of people that was dressed like they're the coolest people on earth trying to raise money for whatever new thing they have on Solana. It was, if you've never been a part of a situation where like, this is clearly the top, there was so many signals that I was clearly the top. It was absurd.
Do you see any of those now?
I think we're in the 7th or 8th inning. I've done some stupid things in the last month that I don't really want to repeat, but that's a top signal. And I don't trade ever.
Did you buy a really nice car?
I did buy a nice car, but I went out to some club. I bought a really nice car.
So it's got to be the top. Yeah,
a really good telling. Oh yeah, I'm looking for like a villa in like Thailand, so that's a good tell. And then I started trading. I don't trade. Like I just literally hold Bitcoin. Haven't moved it in like 7 years or 8 years, whatever. I started trading recently, which that's a top signal.
Yeah, it's amazing when we know ourselves. So the greatest top signal of all time that I will never do again is the minute you show your portfolio to someone to brag is
100%.
Period top ever. So I don't have a portfolio tracker. I deleted it in last cycle. There's no way for me to see what my balance of my holdings is.
That's a great idea. Keyboard Monkey is famous for that in our group chat for posting his P&L and then round tripping it. And we always tell him to sell at the P&L. He has a funny story where he has a funny story where I lent him $750,000 and he made $7.5 million in one trade. Like called me drunk saying he's gonna buy me a Porsche and I'm the nicest guy in the world, and then round tripped it all in like 24 hours. It's like these are some of the crazy stories that I get involved with. When the UST collapsed, I helped some of the better guys out during that tough period. I'm done loaning money though, but you know, some of those
that's
pretty
admirable.
tough times for people. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. And, you know, like the fast money never lasts, you know, so like that you get washed out on that first fast money cycle if you can stick around and learn the lessons. But listen, it was, you know, it was kind of my second cycle where I really got washed. So I guess I didn't learn the lessons that well.
Well, you learned a lot
Hopefully
of
this
them, but
time.
each time I kind of try to write them down, and it like you know, hopefully I'll get 2/3 of them right. But you know, one of those things can still wash you sometimes. So it's kind of strange. One of the things kind of interesting about you is you're a family man. You have kids, and then you've also lived this kind of other life where you're a DJ, and that's kind of a fast world. You know, I'm not sure how involved you were or not, but you know, you're obviously like a famous DJ. But obviously, the party scene and all that stuff is kind of enticing. Like, what grounds you? Like, you know, and I think a lot of people have that issue as a trader, as a high risk person with ADHD or whatever. What keeps you?
I do have ADHD. Yeah. In case you were wondering, I also do officially have ADHD for whatever that means. But yeah, so I mean, during the DJ years, very little kept me grounded. I was wild, you know.
Yeah.
I think I eventually, as I said, I sort of aged out. I just like couldn't keep up, you know, being a 40-year-old, 38, whatever I was kind of towards the end. It's not like I had interest in hanging out with 21-year-olds, but like I went very hard. I lived a life of no sleep, models, bottles, wild, and I loved it. You know, it was amazing. But I think for me, like I met my my wife when I was a bit older. So I think for me, it's not really about being grounded because I kind of got past it. You know, I just wore it out of my system to some degree. Like it doesn't, I still like to do wild stuff, but like the partying kind of side of it and all of that doesn't really interest me. Like I just don't, that doesn't appeal to me anymore. It's kind of like one of those things that I did it. I know I did it and I wanted to like go out on top instead of like being the 50-year-old guy in the club. I'm 48 years old. You know what I mean? Like I have no business at 11.
Yeah, I'm 43.
Like I just like I you know I'll go to a club every once in a while, a crypto party, and look around and kind of be super awkward and uncomfortable. And my wife will make fun of me. You know, she'll be like, "Do you miss DJing?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good." But obviously, you know, now with all of this, like it's the kids, right? So I have a 6-year-old and a 10-year-old, and I'm definitely like a soccer mom on top of like my really hard work schedule. So like I definitely burn the candle maybe a little too hard at both ends because I get up really, really early kind of to write my newsletter. But then also, you know, like my 6-year-old wakes up with me every in the morning and we sit and watch the sunrise over the water and chill out and, you know, like play games and kind of just hang out. And, you know, you can't really like have a bad day if you start like that. You know, and it's funny because I was never going to have kids. I didn't want to have kids. I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to do any of those things. My first, you know, when we had a kid, it was unexpected. So this was all, you know, not once again, unanticipated. But, you know, listen, when you know you have to be around for your kids and you have like really defined responsibilities, the minute I'm off work, I'm driving like my daughter to dance class or something while my wife takes my son to baseball. You know what I mean? It's like, how wild can you really be? You know, and so now it's like, I get those things out of my system and those rare moments when we kind of escape, you know, but otherwise I feel like at this age, I'm just generally a very grounded person. Not that I can't like let it fly if I need to, but yeah, I'm just not the same guy, you know, like if you met me when I was 30, it was like a polar opposite human being than I am.
That's the
now.
transition I'm working on right now. I'm trying to just slow down and keep in a schedule. And I have an 11-year-old son too. So it's like also unplanned, but for me and probably for you too, the best thing that ever happened to me. It's like,
by like so many multiples. And like, I was literally one of those people who was like, I don't want kids ever. I don't want to be around my friends' kids. I don't understand why they had kids. Like kids annoy me if they're not mine. Right. But, does something to you. Really, really very, very.
It's kind of wild. Like everything else in the world could go wrong, but I still have my kid. That's how I think.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's
great.
It's very, very, very much true. So like, as far as grounded, you know, like they keep you, I think it's forced. My wife keeps me very, very, very grounded as well. Like she's, you know, she was the first person I ever met in my life who didn't tell me what I wanted to hear ever. like just harsh reality at all times. And so I attribute a lot of my success and drive to like her basically being like, you need to like get your shit together and take life seriously, and be driven, and we need to like live a great life, and and when I'm fucking up, she tells me. And so like I never had someone like that in my life. I never had, I always kind of had like the parents who were like, yeah,
And
everything you're
those
doing
are
is
always the
great.
ones that you're attracted to. You know what I mean? It's the
Yeah.
ones that are,
Like everybody else just told me how great everything was. You're doing
yeah, of
great.
course.
Right. Yeah.
What,
So
what about what about investing wise? Like, I've kind of pivoted a little bit. I haven't really moved anything, but I've moved, I guess US dollars into like AI and maybe quantum things. Like, have you started that process or?
very, very little. So listen, I've always taken the like really conservative approach to retirement investing and such. I really started to
Mhm.
get out of debt and have a little bit of money in like 2008. Yes, 2007, 2008, and started being able to really invest again at that point, which obviously was like right before the Great Recession. So that I've found a lot of creative ways to get washed out in the past, But
Mhm.
the good thing I did there was I basically just put SPY
Yeah.
buys on autopilot and bought the entire Great Recession, right? So like it was
Yeah.
like 10 years underwater or something. It
Yeah.
was like till 2016 or something, or 2017 I didn't have a single buy, uh and obviously like I bought the whole Great Recession and rode that all the way up. So I never have stopped passively investing in the stock market. Like turn
Mhm.
your brain off, it auto buys at whatever time and whatever day of the week or month, um and so that's always remained the core of what I do. Beyond that, I'm very highly convicted, obviously, in Bitcoin, and so I'm much more exposed to that than most people would say is responsible. But I think they're irresponsible. And then,
Yeah.
of course, like I've got some properties and all the things, like
Yeah.
some watches here and there and things, but I don't view those as serious investments, But I think I'm pretty well diversified, but very heavily skewed towards just these long-term stock holdings and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And
I'm pretty much the
and
same.
Ethereum and Solana, but Bitcoin mostly, yeah.
Yeah. I have like a hype bag, and I have started buying like just Tesla, just because like just in case Elon's just gonna be the man, be the biggest company in the world. But we'll see.
That's a
But
good move. Yeah. That's how
um,
I feel about Coinbase, which I bought all the way down, yeah.
Coinbase, which incredible if you're buying it, like you must be up 10x from the lows. But I
Yeah,
got
but I
in.
also bought it the first day, so
Yeah. What did I buy? Oh, I did a pretty good trade on Robinhood. But like, and I think Robinhood is going to do great too. I always thought Coinbase wasn't going to last because of their fee structure, but they've really like turned it on. Like,
yeah.
this is me talking like 6 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and because if there was volatility, they went
Yeah.
offline. It didn't
Yeah.
exist, right? I also thought they had a lot of problems, but I think just they, to me, were always gonna be the first mover in the United States, and whenever things finally cleaned up, I thought they would explode. So that was kind of the correct premise. But I literally bought it from like 320 to 30. I
Yeah.
think I got my cost basis down below $100.
Yeah.
Um,
They're starting to do perps and everything else, I think, right? I mean,
I mean, yeah, but yeah, 50x perps more than FTX had in
yeah.
Europe now, as they announced it today.
Yeah.
But just like when you see that they were custodying all of the ETFs, like they're a very serious player. They're going to be the sort of API layer for JP Morgan's crypto exposure and PNC Bank. I mean, I just think that they're going to be, if crypto becomes as big as we believe it will be, they should be the best beneficiary of it, in my mind, at least in the States. But I agree with you on Robinhood as well. And all of these companies, Coinbase, Robinhood, I think there will be others, maybe Kraken and such, but they will be the Schwabs and Morgan Stanleys and Goldmans of are the next generation, right? They're going to offer those full suite of financial services and more. And you can't tell me that like a 25-year-old kid right now is going to choose his dad's like Schwab advisor over
100%.
Robinhood or Coinbase, right?
But
So like it's
you can't convince your dad otherwise. Like if I told my dad like that was going to happen, he wouldn't believe me. If we explain to him
No.
what money is, he doesn't understand.
I
It's like,
talk to RIAs all the time. I have a
yeah,
side business called the Crypto Advisor. It's
yeah,
a newsletter we had started only a couple months ago, and it's like caught really wildfire because RIAs are so clueless. Registered investment advisors are so clueless about crypto, and it's like embarrassing for them right now. And their biggest fear is that they've lived a life where they just raise money from boomers. They put them into like these static funds that they have had for years. Like Charles Schwab tells you exactly where to put your client's money.
right.
So your job is literally just go play golf with rich people and get them to trust you and whatever. And none of those people's kids are going to come on when that person dies.
Yeah. One of my investment indicators is like to call a wealth manager I know and ask him what he thinks about an investment. And the dumber he thinks it is, the more convicted I am. And this is a real thing. I actually do this.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be weird to see. So this is like the boomers real estate age, I think, is the crypto era for our age group. I'm thinking AI might be something for the younger generation. We'll see. But I do think AI is going to be bigger than the internet.
Me too. I just wonder if people will make their money investing in it or if they're going to actually, it will be like the technology that they use to have booming careers, you know?
Yeah.
Um, which I mean, I guess that's no different than the internet, right? You could have bought like Amazon or Google or any of these things early
Mhm.
and made a ton of money, but you could also work at those places or be building things and have made a ton of money. But I mean, the AI experience is just incredible. I mean, given it's wrong a lot, but I use ChatGPT 100 times a day. I don't know about and Grok, but I don't know about you. I use it for everything.
I use it for everything. And I was kind of a doomer. Like Elon says there's like a 20% chance we're all going to get wiped out. I was thinking more 50-50, but I had a nice conversation with Brian Pellegrino, who's primo on Twitter. He's one of the old school crypto guys,
Yeah.
and he's a genius, the layer zero guy. So he seems to be pretty comfortable that we'll be okay, which made me feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, and honestly, man, listen, if they're gonna like take over, I want to be one of the users who's on their side.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want them to see me in my chat talking about how amazing AI is and using it for everything so that, I'm a part of Skynet instead of getting wrecked. But
What kind, what kind of advice do you have for someone that's coming into crypto, like either to get involved as like a person that running a podcast or, becoming an influencer or just getting involved in the space at all?
yeah, I mean, I think on the influencer and podcast side, it's really crowded. So you have to be extremely consistent, even when it's frustrating and nobody's watching. Like the only thing that's going to make you break through is just showing up at the same time every day, no matter what, and doing it.
Mhm.
But also, I think you really need to differentiate yourself to some level. Like even I feel like as hard as I work, getting a bit complacent with even my production quality. Like I've just now spent a ton of money building out this huge studio that I'll be in a couple weeks. Big LED screen. We can
Let's
shoot like
go.
we're shoot like we're sitting on the moon or like we're in
Yeah.
Times Square. Kind of dress it up and try to make it a little bit more Fox Business or CNBC. I think you just have to always be upping your game because there's so many people who are so smart who are creating incredible content. And I really feel like the content itself is a commodity. So you have to just find a niche or find an edge. Like on the investment side, and like you don't want to be an influencer in crypto.
Yeah.
So whatever. Like if that's your goal, like go get a job.
Go
It's
get
the
a
worst.
job.
So as amazing as like I cringe at the term influencer or the term
Yeah.
KOL,
Yeah.
like I key opinion leader, dude. I don't want to give anyone like I don't care. I don't need anybody to follow my opinion, right?
Mhm.
Unless it's buy Bitcoin. And that would be the next thing that I would say to the people is that back to the earlier part of our conversation, people find so many dumb things to come into crypto for, like whether it's meme coins or like the NFT craze or all these things, and like they get washed and they leave and they never come back. And they really, I think, entirely miss the boat on what's here. I
Yeah.
would say that I still think, and maybe it's like me being the old guy who's like yelling at the kids to get off my lawn with their new rap music because like old rap music's better. But I
Mhm.
still think you should come in through Bitcoin. Like you should buy Bitcoin, use Bitcoin, send it around to a few people, spend it here and there And then like when you get really comfortable with Bitcoin and you like it, then start thinking about taking 10% of your portfolio and fucking around elsewhere. And if that leads you to meme coins and like you have fun in the casino, dude, I'm like, I'm pretty risk taking person as well. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't, but like fucking love going to Vegas and playing craps.
Of
Right.
course.
But I view that as my entertainment budget, not
Yeah.
as my like income, like, and we get free drinks. So it's cool, but like I can go lose a ton of money on craps or blackjack or something and say I had a great night. But you can't do that from like your house with the money you need for your rent and pretend that you're working.
Yeah, and that's kind of the scary part of like this generation. Like, I have an assistant that helps me with this podcast. He lives with me, and I met a lot of his friends, and they all seem to never leave the house and are either trading or online gambling or something. It's like, it's I don't know. It's not a great thing to see. Like, I'm hoping they pivot to something better.
We're so lucky to have grown up when we did.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the perfect window, at least, you're only 5 years younger than me. So same, like a lot of the heavy 80s, early 90s, no screens, nobody videoing every stupid thing that we did.
Riding a mountain
Nobody
bike.
trying. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't, if people videoed me in high school and college, like I would have never gotten anywhere in my life.
Yeah.
There's zero chance. Like, but now like, we actually talked to girls and like had fun.
Yeah.
Like without putting it on social media. Like
without getting
DJing was so fun. DJing was so much worse in the end years of my career than the beginning just because of mobile phones.
Yeah.
It was like, everybody was into it in the beginning. Like everybody was there. They were dancing. They were having a good time. Nobody was videoing you. Nobody was worried about anything that was happening everywhere else. This generation it's not their fault. All they care about is like what's happening on the internet, and like get out there and go hit on a girl and get rejected, man. It's good for you.
Makes you feel alive.
Really good for you. I've done it so many times.
If you're batting if you're hitting on girls and batting like 100, you're doing great. You know what I mean?
Dude, 1 out of 10. Then it's just as like, if you're willing to get rejected 9 times, you're guaranteed to have a good time.
Yeah, of course. Now you got such a big following, and you must be happy about it too, because it's not from saying I think this coin's going to go up. Like your content has built this great following for yours. Like, do you have a GOAT list of people you'd like to interview?
Yeah, I mean, there's still this kind of tier of people that I haven't done. Like definitely Musk. I'm not saying I want to like go beyond the crypto space because I don't know how much I have to offer, but like a lot of these kind of crypto adjacent, like I would love to sit down with like a Rogan, and like Elon Musk. And I've never interviewed Brian Armstrong. Like I was actually set up and I had to bail on a trip to New York. So I would love to do that. Kathy Wood, I would love to interview. And I've never interviewed her. I would really love to sit down with like Larry Fink and Jamie Dimon and a lot of these kind of bigger bank guys and pick their brain. Cause as much as some of them seem so dismissive, I would just think they're brilliant, even if they hate the thing that I love,
I think that might happen.
So I think there's another tier. Yeah. I think that, I love everybody I've interviewed. I've done like, most of the biggest names kind of in the space, but there's still a whole laundry list of like incredible people. Like I've met like, Tyler and Cameron or whatever. I've never sat down with them for an interview. I think that would be epic. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I really approach it like I just want to talk to smart people and learn stuff. And I feel like there's an endless list of those people in the world that I've yet to talk to and learn from.
Yeah. Even in different avenues of crypto too, like I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of those guys I named are very kind of crypto focused. I mean, I've been really lucky, and it's like it's a self-perpetuating kind of flywheel. If you get Sailor, there's 100 more people that'll take your call that wouldn't have a week before.
Oh yeah.
Right? So it's just like, and so your guests they get you new guests and it kind of just goes, but there's still, people I would love to talk to that we've never either been able to get it. I've never talked to Tom Lee. I would love to have Tom Lee, and break it down and chop it up with him. So
you interviewed Jack Mallers too, right?
I've had Jack quite a few times.
Yeah.
And dude, he's incredible. Like incredible. Like that guy is so insanely smart. He has an answer for everything. And it really made you think. We were actually like going back and forth on Twitter the other day, and he broke down a lot of stuff about the ETH pre-sale that I had no idea about when his mom invested in it and
Oh
all
wow,
this stuff. And
that's
he
crazy.
sent me the original docs on Twitter that were
Wow,
like I had never seen. It definitely made me think twice about a few things from the early days of Ethereum that I wasn't even
wow.
aware of after all these years. Um, and it's funny, like he said to me, and I think it was on camera. I don't know. We sat down in Vegas. He was like, "My favorite show is Macro Monday." It's like, I love that show you guys do, and so I've been trying to get him on Macro Monday now with, so like, yeah, he's great, man. There's just so many smart people in this industry. You can never run out of, I think, people to have great conversations with. And listen, man, some days I show up and I don't want to do it,
Yeah,
but
but
usually
that's
like,
life. That's anything.
yeah. Yeah. So, but 99% of the time, I'm super psyched to turn the camera on
Yeah,
and start. Like,
even LeBron James doesn't want to play some days for sure.
I'm
You know what I
sure
mean?
probably most days at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, like, when you hit a certain point, in your life, you get these existential crises. What do I want to do? What's my purpose? Your purpose kind of changes over time. Um, for me, it's like, now doing this podcast and doing the boxing and my law firm still. But I do think at some point I might try to be breaking down Jack Mahler's doors and be involved on the law side of Bitcoin. Like, I want to do
That would stick.
something in Bitcoin later, or spend most of my time in Bitcoin at some point too. So like, definitely think that'd be fun.
I think the key there is just don't ever retire, just always find something. Or I feel like the minute you stop moving forward, you're like on your path to death. So like, I know that even if I get bored of it, I'll find some way to work all the time because I have to be moving.
That was my main concern with the AI. It's like, if cells don't have a purpose, they die. So it's just like,
Yeah.
looking at it, like,
Gotta
that's
keep it going.
the main fear. But thanks for coming on, Scott. Really cool, bro. I appreciate it. Maybe we'll have you on later on, but really love everything you do in the space, and been a big fan of yours for years, brother.
I'm a big fan of yours as well, man. And listen, I'll never forget through all the hard times, you and I actually always had a lot of communication, and you're always kind of there, with some kind words and positive reinforcement. So I definitely appreciate it. We'll never forget that.
100%, bro. Always be here, man. And look forward to seeing you soon, brother. Are you
Thanks,
going
man.
to Singapore, by the way, for token, or?
I'm not planning on it right now. I'm really trying to not go to the like abroad conferences. I did Singapore the last 3 years, and like that
Yeah.
trip like messes up 2 weeks of my life.
Oh yeah, the
Like with the
flights are
jet
brutal.
lag, and it's like 4 days of travel, right? I mean, it's, because you leave on Sunday, you arrive on Tuesday night. It's so crazy. But and my kids, I don't know, man. It's really hard to justify that trip at this point. And I miss my show for like 5 or 6 days by the time I'm done. It's
Yeah,
hard. So I don't
it's
think
just
so.
like
But I said
crazy.
that last year, and I booked it a week before and went for
Yeah.
a week. So and I love the Formula One race. So
Well, if you show up, let me know. I'll be around.
I will, man. Peace.
All right, brother. Have a good one.